In the winter of 1947, deep inside the United States National Archives, a junior clerk found a thin, dust-covered folder that was never meant to exist. There was no classification stamp, no presidential seal, no signature. Just 3 words typed on the cover page. This never happened. Inside were photographs, declassified memos, and a handwritten diary, documents that quietly suggested the United States of America had once come dangerously close to collapsing from within, not because of war, not because of enemies, but because of a single decision made in absolute secrecy. What follows is a true historical story, one that was buried, denied, and forgotten. Until now. The Shadow Republic, a historically accurate, astonishing true story for an American audience. Part 1. The Day America Chose Silence. On April 10, 1917, the United States entered World War I. Newspapers celebrated it as a noble fight for democracy. Politicians framed it as a moral duty. Churches rang their bells. Young men lined up at recruitment offices with pride in their eyes. But behind the patriotic posters and speeches, fear was spreading faster than any enemy army. America was not united. It was fractured, ethnically, politically, economically, and ideologically. More than 1/3 of the U.S. population at the time were either immigrants or first-generation Americans. Millions still spoke German at home. Entire towns in the Midwest printed newspapers in German. Schools taught in bilingual formats. Lutheran churches conducted sermons in German every Sunday. And suddenly, Germany was the enemy. A nation turns on itself. Within weeks of declaring war, paranoia infected Washington. President Woodrow Wilson, a man who publicly preached freedom and democracy, privately worried about something far more dangerous than German submarines. He feared Americans themselves. Labor unions were growing powerful. Socialist ideas were spreading in industrial cities. Anti-war protests erupted in New York, Chicago, and St. Louis. Black Americans, still denied basic rights, questioned why they should fight for a country that treated them as second-class citizens. And then there were the journalists. They asked uncomfortable questions. Why was America really entering the war? Who benefited financially? Why were civil liberties being quietly restricted? Wilson did not answer them. Instead, he signed something far more dangerous, the Espionage Act of 1917. On June 15, 1917, Congress passed the Espionage Act. Officially, it was meant to prevent spying and sabotage. Unofficially, it gave the federal government unprecedented power to silence dissent. Under the act, it became illegal to criticize the government, oppose the draft, question the war effort, or distribute disloyal material. More than 2,000 Americans were arrested. Not spies, not traitors, ordinary citizens, teachers, journalists, priests, college students. One of them would change American history forever. Eugene Victor Debs, the man who spoke too loudly. Eugene Debs was not a criminal. He was one of the most respected labor leaders in the country, 5-time Socialist Party candidate for President of the United States, a man who believed that democracy meant the right to disagree. In June 1918, Debs gave a speech in Canton, Ohio. He did not call for violence. He did not encourage rebellion. He simply said the war served the rich, not the working class. That was enough. Federal agents arrested him days later. At his trial, the judge did not argue facts. He argued loyalty. Debs was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. for a speech. When the verdict was announced, a journalist wrote in his notebook, "If words can imprison a man, then democracy in America is only a performance." That notebook would disappear for decades. The committee that was never meant to be public. As arrests increased, Wilson authorized the creation of a secret organization, the Committee on Public Information. Officially, it was a propaganda agency. In reality, it was something far more powerful. The CIP controlled newspapers, movies, posters, schools, and even churches. It told Americans what to think, what to fear, who to hate. German music was banned, German books were burned, sauerkraut was renamed Liberty Cabbage. Children were encouraged to report their parents for un-American speech. Mob violence exploded. In April 1918, a German-American man named Robert Prager was lynched by a crowd in Illinois. The attackers were later acquitted. The message was clear: silence was survival. A hidden decision in the White House. In October 1918, as the war neared its end, Wilson approved a decision that was never announced publicly, a classified directive allowing the federal government to maintain wartime censorship even after peace, if national stability required it. The war ended on November 11, 1918. The censorship did not. Instead, it evolved. What came next would be known as the First Red